The question, of course, was also, whether she was going to be able to keep up the momentum after the switch in the candidacy, after the convention boost as well. And it does seem like she's managing to convince some people.
Yes, she is. Her lead is still very tight. I mean, this is a deadlocked race. So her lead in each of the individual 7 swing states that Bloomberg News and Morning Consult polled last week, her lead is within the margin of error. But if you look at all the states combined, her lead is just outside the margin of error at 3 points. That is a tiny, tiny little lead. And any errors on her part, any problems with the campaign, any good things that Trump campaigns on, Donald Trump, will certainly change that. So it's anyone's guess at this point who will win. Where she is doing particularly well is in closing the gap with voters on who they trust to manage the U.S. economy. Joe Biden was consistently, in our poll that started last October, was consistently behind Trump on that. And Trump is still ahead. But as you see there, Kamala Harris is narrowing that gap to a tiny margin, where she is just a few points behind him on trusting the economy. People find her economic policies more popular. They find, and they're more inclined to trust her on who will best handle the middle class.
So we're getting more clarity on her policies, because initially there was a lot of concern that voters did not know her, and she was a bit reluctant when it came to being interviewed as well.
Yes, that's true. She is warming up to that. She is doing more interviews with both local and national outlets. And she is starting to lay out policy proposals. There isn't a lot of deep detail in them, just like there isn't a lot of deep detail in Donald Trump's policy proposals, but they're out there. Raise taxes on those who make more than $400,000 a year. Expand the child tax credit. Give assistance to first-time home buyers. Those are all of her economic policies that were very popular with our poll respondents. His are also popular in terms of not taxing taxing Social Security benefits, and but his 10% tariff on imported goods is very unpopular.
We're also watching for sort of more debates, right? We know that Harris's team has said they've accepted that October 23rd debate on CNN. We know that the former President Trump doesn't want any more debates at this point. But in terms of looking ahead to the VP debate, what can we expect? And I suppose how high are the stakes here for how well it goes for either side?
Well, honey, as you say, the stakes, this is going to be probably the last debate in this presidential cycle. So the stakes are extremely high for Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, the two running mates, Tim Walz being the Democrat, of course, and J.D. Vance being the Republican. So the stakes are high as surrogates for the top of the ticket, who can talk about the values of the campaign. And of course, we do expect Tim Walz to hit J.D. Vance on his comments about women who don't have children, his comments about the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. And I think J.D. Vance will be looking at Tim Walz about the policies that he considers far too liberal for Americans, as well as some statements that Walz has made in the past, before he was Kamala Harris's running mate, that were not as accurate as they could have been.